Thank you everyone for coming and welcome to the conference. I'll try to have you all entertained as much as I can. All right, so my name is Artem Golubev. Apparently my first name have Greek origins. You probably know Artemis. However, Artemis is a female name and my name is a male name. So it's different form. Just keep in mind, guys, I found it funny because autocomplete will probably suggest Artemis. Remember, that's not it. Anyway, so the personally about me, so I have been always in software engineering, mathematics, and at some point got very frustrated with what QA automation tools can do. So what I have seen personally is I was working at one company, I don't want to name, and basically we built a huge test automation suite for end-to-end testing, and then UI team released new UI framework, and bam, everything was gone. So everybody was working 24/7, retesting everything manually. We couldn't do it within 2 months. We still released, and we ended up with tons and tons and tons of blocker level issues from large companies you know and love. Almost lost some. So it was very, very frustrating, as you can imagine. I felt like, hey, it doesn't make really sense. Like how things are happening today. That's why I decided to build automation tool. Now, but this is not what I'm going to be talking right now. So I'm going to be talking in a completely new wave, which has been happening last year, maybe year and a half, with the advent of generative AI and how generative AI is actually changing the landscape. So the things already has changed, and they will be the things will be changing significantly next year, 2 years going forward. So as you have all seen, just ChatGPT might be helpful in certain scenarios, and Microsoft claims that it helps engineers to be, 30% more productive or something like that. But this is very, very, very beginning. This is very, very basic. It is, you can already do significantly more with generative AI. So basically, what kind of problems generative AI can help to solve, and what kind of problems does it solve right now, and what can it do on top of, like, ChatGPT stuff, right? Well, you'd be surprised, a lot of them. So first of all, well, I'll walk through many things. But first would be the test maintenance. It probably is the #1 problem in the industry right now. From what I have seen, this is where people just stuck in how many test cases they can build. Like if you talk to Gartner and Forrester, you'll find out that on average, only 30% of end-to-end test cases are automated today in 2024. How's that possible? So the tools have been around like forever. Selenium was first released in 2004. So why is it within 20 years, people couldn't get themselves to closer to 100% of test coverage? And well, of course, there are multiple reasons, not just one, but one of the largest reasons is test maintenance. So basically, the problem is that people are capping out. You have seen it, I'm sure, many times before. People are capping out and how many tests they can maintain. I'll get in a second in more details on that. On average, based on the research, Gartner, Forrester, and us, it's around 300, 350. test cases, automated test cases per person. And that's it. So it's super unscalable, right? You have hired a certain number of QA automation engineers, and that's it. You can't go any further. So why is that, and how it can be solved with generative AI? So the problem is the concept. So when you're doing test automation with the tools like Selenium, Cypress, or Playwright, you are not doing end-to-end testing automation. You are testing how engineers implemented the code yesterday, right? Because think about it, like there is nothing in the automation that helps you to validate whether things are actually working from a user's perspective in those frameworks, because all locators rely on the structure of the HTML and internal things that are not visible to end users. So think about it. Mind you, XPaths and CSS selectors are super flaky and will break all the time. But even IDs, test IDs included, names and all this kind of stuff, is something that is not visible to end user and represents the details of implementation, how engineers wrote the code yesterday, right? What frameworks did they use? Maybe they, tomorrow, will migrate from Angular to React, and bam, there is no IDs anymore. Moreover, there are things like tables, right? Mind you, the idea is how are you going to deal with tables and changes in table structure, for example, from table structure to div-based structure to make it responsive. So so these are the problems that people make it so hard to maintain the test, because if you're testing implementation of how engineers wrote it yesterday, tomorrow engineers change, refactor just a little bit, small changes lead to disproportionately huge impact in QA automation. Because think about it, from engineers' perspective, all we did is probably just updated the version of their UI framework of Angular 2.0 to 2.1. Bam, the format of IDs changed. So gigantic, huge impact on QA automation engineering. Now you need to go through all the stuff and change it. But let's get something more simple, which will probably happen every day. So imagine this, this validation that a certain text is in there, right? So this div2, tomorrow I'm sure it will be div3 already, right? So these small changes, again, it probably took 1 minute for engineers to update it because they needed to do completely something else unrelated. But it broke unrelated tests, and now you would need to go in and go through the steps, figure out where it is, or find out if it's actually a bug or not, find the new locator, put it back in the code, repeat for all broken tests, and then continue with whatever SDLC is there for your QA automation. So as you can see, the impact, the small change have oversized huge impact on how much time it eats from automation. So compare that to manual tests. In the manual test, you're not going to do that. You're not going to have those issues. If you're testing things manually and you say, hey, how about we log in and we just check that this welcome Peter is on the screen. That is not gonna break, right? So if you do it manually or manual testers do it, doesn't matter. Product managers do it. Whoever follows those instructions can still come through and validate that things are working, right? So manual tests work. Do you see my point? So basically, the manual tests still work, however, automation breaks and have a huge oversized impact on the maintenance. So then what's the solution? The solution is obviously mimic the manual tests. So if your system does the same thing as manual tester, literally, then it shouldn't break, right? If you mimic how a manual tester does these things, follows the steps, and can follow your instructions, then this is where, if there is no reliance on those details of implementations, no reliance on next steps, and so on and so forth, then like it's not going to break. And it is possible today. So this is one. I guess I'll mention Keith, who is here today. Like I give a shout out. Yeah, he'll probably speak on a later session. But he is VP of engineering at IDT. His background is QA. Previously, he was a director of QA in other companies, and he had exactly that issue. So the whole company got stuck at around 33–34% of test coverage. We couldn't move forward fast enough to catch up with how many changes were released by engineering. And once we started to use AI, we were able to quickly jump to over 90% of automation. All right, so now imagine that like if you were to have systems like this that allow you to well, execute whatever your manual tests you have, then how about you can import these manual test cases for execution from your existing test cases. That speed up in automation. But this is the next part is significantly more interesting. So another several things that AI could do is, for example, just generate the test cases. Of course, it probably is not going to do a good job. Probably every one of you have already tried ChatGPT and know that, like, hey, the results are sometimes good, sometimes not. So you can't trust the results. That's the whole point. The state of AI right now is such that you cannot trust AI. So, like, please do not. But it helps, right? For example, you got the new feature from product management. There is a description of the feature. Now you need to figure out what test cases to write. Like that, you can get help like this. It's pretty obvious. Now, imagine that. Remember, like that we talked about the not reliance on details of implementation. What does it actually also enable? It also enable ATDD, acceptance test-driven development. It's not a new concept. It's very similar to BDD, but it's more like TDD. So what's the point of it is you write acceptance tests or end-to-end tests before engineers write the code. Usually, with the frameworks like Selenium, Playwright, it's borderline impossible. In theory, you could do that if you work really hard with engineering and get a lot of commitments from them on what kind of IDs are we going to use and what kind of structures, how HTML should be structured, how the tables should be structured, and like literally get hardcore commitments from them, where you could probably pull it off in theory, but since nobody does that, and engineers usually don't really care, I have never seen that's happening. And then again, it would be pretty challenging to pull off anyway from engineering perspective, because yes, we can commit to something, and then when we develop the code, we find out, oops, no, we can't actually do that because we need to do this and that. So that's basically made it impossible to make ATDD anyhow widespread whatsoever. And even BDD people are struggling to pull it off. However, if you can write the tests as manual tests and execute them without any reliance on details of implementation, since there is no reliance on details of implementation, you can actually write executable tests before engineers write the code. Then why would you do that? Well, trust me, if you want and you'll be able to pull it off, then your VP of engineering or CTO definitely will come to you and personally kiss you and say thank you to you. Let me tell you why. So you probably have heard the bank BNP Paribas. Those folks are very, very organized, at least in some areas, at least, and some teams, and they basically measured the impact of this change. So just that change alone. So there, you can find it online. It's pretty famous, like a BDD example, and this is for BDD even, right? So this is not even related to any AI or whatsoever. So it was done quite some time ago, not by us, completely someone else. And what we have found is the problem that we were solving is developer rework. So what is the classical problem and the challenges in QA when you follow the traditional process? The traditional process is product managers write the specifications, then based on these specifications, engineers try to write code, then QA automation tries to write automation. They are de facto manually testing that code which engineers write. They find discrepancies with the specification or misunderstandings and bugs. So what happens after that is that engineers have to fix the bugs, change the implementation to match the specification, and then only then you can complete the automation. So how much time do you have left for your automation? Almost nothing. What we're doing majority of the time, manual testing and fixing the other broken tests because of reliance on details of implementation that we discussed previously. But point here that I'm trying to make is engineers wrote the code and then they have to rewrite it sometimes. So if you can build better specifications and you can build automation before engineers write the code, well, first of all, it will be much easier for engineers, right? Because we already have tests, which all we need to do is just to turn this test from red to green and good to go. But also, that has a huge impact on clarity of the specification, because somebody needs to talk to those product managers after they wrote the specification and, well, help them to understand that that specification is ambiguous, not clear, or sometimes even incorrect. So, and somebody would need to do it. If engineers do it first, they are the people who do it. If QA automation does it first, then QA automation are the people who do it. So but point being, the end result is when QA automation are building the automation from the specification, it helps to clarify the specification before engineers write the code. So why did I mention BNP Paribas? So they measured specifically that in their case, they have saved on average 35% of engineering time on rework for engineers. So you can literally come to like a CTO and say, hey, I know how we can save 30% of your engineering time. Are you up for it? So guess like what would be the response? So and all you would need to do is just move writing of end-to-end tests before engineers write the code. And again, so you could pull it off in theory with Playwright and so on and so forth, but this is where Gen AI can help you, and lack of reliance on details of implementation can help you. This is one. The second point about this process is happiness. Who don't want to be happy, please raise your hand. Right? Yeah, there's one person. Congratulations. Everyone else does. And what basically, what robs us from being able to be happy is just not being able to deliver what we want at work, right? And if you're playing a catch-up game and always waiting until engineers fix their code, like that's very frustrating. And basically, next sprint, you're not going to have any more time to do that because next sprint, next features. If in QA you're now doing it other way around, and you building the test first before engineers, when they are playing the catch-up, and you have like whatever full coverage all the time, so you're doing the job first. So the like just quality of life here is different. So that's not all. So the other things that AI can help you to achieve is test AI, right? So more and more companies, well, I think by statistic right now is already over 90% of the companies have now released AI-based features into their code base to customers. 90%. So I'm sure like majority of you like already have those. How do you test those? Manually? Like that's no good, right? So you want to be able to automate tests for those. So what's the challenge? The challenge is output is always ever so slightly different. Like for example, think about the chatbot. Yes, it will probably reply you positively, but then this positive response would be a little bit different next time. Every single time you do it, it's a little bit different. But if this AI-related step is somewhere in the middle of the flow, then that's it. You can't now automate the whole end-to-end tests. So, well, again, so unless you're using generative AI. So there is a way and techniques how to make generative AI validate what the AI features stably. So there are actually several ways. You could write the prompt that validates the statements about the output. For example, if you're talking to a chatbot and the chatbot is saying, hey, such and such, you can find this product like by clicking here and there, right? Or you should contact sales or whatever it is. So you can write this another statement for your validation saying, hey, validate that the output from the chatbot was positive and it referred me to such and such, like to sales or to this page or whatever it is. So whereas basically a couple of things on how to make it work. Again, so if you're dealing with AI, there are hallucinations, and there is never a guarantee that it's going to always work, right? So that's a heads up. So this part of the automation, you should expect it to fail, regardless how great of the job you did from time to time, but you can make it work 99% of the time. How do you do that? The problem with hallucinations are actually sometimes inflicted by people who write the prompts. Because, and it's very similar to the same problem with specifications that product managers write. You think that you wrote a great prompt and it's very clear. However, it is not. And the problem with AI is that it will find out the interpretation of your prompt, which you never thought it's possible, but it will pick that and do that. The way to overcome that is always ask it for explanation. So why did you do that? This way you'll be able to fine-tune your prompts and understand, oops, I actually was ambiguous and I did not specify correctly what and how should be tested. But eventually you can get to a point where you have really good results, where there's like literally no way to misinterpret your statement unless like hardcore hallucination will happen. All right. And not only that, so there are a lot of tools on the market. You can ask AI to play different roles on your websites, to basically do some kind of an exploratory testing, do different validations on the stuff, or you can literally ask AI to look at the screen and suggest if there are any issues. That it might not do a good job because generic AI like ChatGPT or anything like this is by definition generic. It is not a QA professional. And therefore, you'll probably get something superficial from it if you go that. However, again, like you can use it in automation. If you use it in automation and ask AI, hey, are there any issues on this, on each page or on this particular page or whatever it is, it can find basic things like text overlapping, or some really in-your-face huge issues that you would definitely see. So those are all different things that that AI can do. Not only that, but also, so how AI can actually help to run, let's say, manual tests. How does it work? Well, basically very simple. So it's step by step, exactly the same way as people would do it. So every time, like based on the prompt, it will look on the screen and say, hey, I already did these steps. This is the screen. What should I do next? And then what should I do next? What should I do next? This is how you go step by step. And this is how it can do it. Anyway, so that's about it for my presentation. I hope I helped you to realize where AI can do more even right now. In the future, will be significantly more than that. And if you'd like to connect with me, this is my LinkedIn profile. Well, this is not LinkedIn profile. This is a square code of my LinkedIn profile. So feel free to become LinkedIn friends. And on that, thank you. And I will get it back to Tatiana and Anna. Thank you so much.